Hi, today we are going to talk about COVID, post-COVID Cambodia, understand Cambodia with the Cambodians. As I just shared earlier, all right, we have guest star, guest speaker coming on with us to share with us about his view as a Cambodian and to from him through his view that help us to understand about Cambodia. So let me share with you his profile. Mr. Chester Chem. Okay, Mr. Chester Chem, he actually is a Cambodian, but he left for further study when he was after 8, 9 years old. So he was in overseas for his study for about 13 years before he came back again to develop and be an entrepreneur in Cambodia. So he actually studied in New York during his youngest days, schooling, and he also went to Germany, Berlin. And through all these years, after he has studied, he still find the attraction and the opportunities in Cambodia. And recently he was back in Cambodia to venture out on his own, with his support of his father, to come back and venture out as an entrepreneur in Cambodia. So today he is going to share the insight on why he's back to Cambodia as a Cambodian and what kind of opportunity he see in Cambodia. Next, I'm also inviting a developer, representing developer in Cambodia, Mr. Edmund Koh. Mr. Edmund Koh representing MSQM real estate developer. He himself is in real estate for 10 over years. So today we are inviting him back with us again, to share with us with this Cambodia projects. So he will also give his insights about knowing about the development of Cambodia. So let me welcome two of them, Mr. Edmund Koh and Mr. Chester Chin.
Hey, hi, Justin. Thanks for inviting me.
Hi, thanks for joining us at the SAA Singapore Asia Alliance session. Good to have you, both of you here. All right, Mr. Chester Chin, maybe you would like to share more about yourself. As I was just only doing some brief introduction about you. So perhaps maybe for our audience curiosity, you'd like to share with us a bit more of your history or your background and why are you coming back to Cambodia to develop, to enhance your career over here?
Well, I feel that actually when I was studying abroad, I was quite common in terms of like most Cambodian students who studied abroad. They wanted to, for instance, continue their work there rather than coming back. But a good friend of mine from university convinced me to come back after I graduated high school to see Southeast Asia, and one of those countries was Cambodia. And during that time, when I went around Cambodia with him, I saw that there were a lot more opportunities, whereas in Germany, a lot of the marketplace is already saturated. I'll be working 9 to 5 day job for I don't know how many more years, but in Cambodia, I felt a lot more liberated here. And I felt that I was the captain of my own vessel here.
You were saying that it's more elaborated here in Cambodia comparing to the countries that you have been studying in and living in. What is the difference that the liberation that you're talking about?
I think so. For instance, when I talked to the people, I noticed that there was a considerable different attitude. People in general were more friendly, were more open and warm, rather than, for example, when I was studying in Germany, New York, people were just more cold, right? They weren't they weren't really receptive of you. So that was a big eye opener. The second was the countries I studied in. A lot of them already old. Like when you have a society full of older generation people, people tend to be less dynamic. They tend to take less risk. They like the status quo. But when I reached out to a lot of the young people here, they seem a lot more bolder and more interested in taking risks and more hungry, I would say, in terms of learning languages, in terms of learning skills and seizing opportunities.
I see. But as you see that, recently 2 years because of the COVID, right? So let me ask you, how have the COVID, have affected Cambodia? What is your view? How much is being affected in Cambodia right now?
So, according to the statistic provided by the World Bank, Cambodia retracted by 3.1% during 2020. The Cambodian economy has gradually recovered in 2021, but the process is uneven. And we can say this because due to um, the reintroduction of lockdowns, for instance, right, in order to stop the flares up of coronavirus, and certain industries in Cambodia are just more resilient in comparison to the latter. For instance, if you were to compare the agriculture industry of Cambodia, it's resilient. Whereas if you were to look at the hospitality industry of Cambodia, and I think all around the world is the same story, they suffered because of travel restrictions. And even if those travel restrictions are lifted, I'm not sure how willing people are able to, go travel again, like what they used to prior before COVID came along.
All right. So, do you see any changes after the post-COVID, before and after? Are you back to Cambodia before COVID?
I came to Cambodia 8 years ago. I made the decision to stay here and work and seize the opportunities that I could find here. Um, I believe that COVID did not really change my decisions to stay here, although I had some friends who moved out of the country due to COVID um, for different reasons. I still saw the reason why, how do I say it? I still see what the potential of Cambodia, and therefore I'm planning to stay here a lot longer.
So, does it affect you and your families, your friends? Your father came back with you?
The start of COVID, my father was still ambassador. Last year, he has returned home, and he says that it's also better for him to be here because he felt that COVID in France, right? And from what I gathered, because I also speak with some of my friends living in Europe and America, is that the lockdown restrictions in the West is a lot more heavier than their Asian counterpart. For instance, Cambodia, where we did have lockdowns, but not to the extent what Germany or the United Kingdom went through or France went through. And so my parents are able to enjoy a better quality of life here than over.
So, Chester, would you like to share with
Yeah.
us that does this COVID affect you and friends?
I believe it affects everyone in the country, right? But it does affect a lot of my friends over there because they're having what they would call like COVID depression, where where they're not able to like leave their houses to meet friends and certain things like that. And it even hampers their productivity, for instance, right? They're not working as effectively, they're not motivated anymore. And therefore they would like to, some of them were even thinking of, if the COVID situation dies down, that they would come over here and work in Cambodia for a bit just to change the scenery, because they're just so tired of being in that area or atmosphere. The same can be said with my parents. My father was ambassador to France since last year, and he came back in 2020 because he said that in Cambodia he's able to have a better lifestyle here than what was going on in France with COVID.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that at least your father came back and joined you here in Cambodia.
Yes.
And you're saying that it's a better lifestyle staying in Cambodia here than here is in France because of less constraint. Okay, so for the post-COVID,
Yes.
what is then most
Yes.
important?
Correct.
Yeah, so for the post-COVID, what is important to you and your families and friends right now?
So from what I've gathered is that health is very important now, right? It's something that I think prior, before COVID, not a lot of people here took seriously until this happened. And then it made people realize that, a lot of things are taken for granted, right? For instance, that we cannot do anymore at this time. And the other thing too is that in regards to people focusing about health. It also comes down to like what they're eating and certain things like that. Before that, there weren't really a mind. I would say that people in Cambodia were getting healthier, but COVID has, how do you say, made people focus a lot more on health, right? And they also see it as one of those ways that it's not a way of saying that being healthy prevents COVID. It's just that like if you were to get it, it would increases your survival rate by a lot. The other thing that comes with good health too is that you have a peace of mind, right? Especially when a lot of people are stuck at home, they usually end up reading the headlines, looking at social media and certain things like that. And that generally doesn't make them any more positive, right?
Yeah, true.
So these are the things that I think that was that COVID made people take or make people more grateful for instance.
So for you, do you have any personal direction changes prior to this? Any personal direction have
I think
changes you?
I think COVID changed a lot of. I think COVID changed the way a lot of people think. I think it gave a lot of people time to ponder about their life and what they should adjust for, what kind of goals they should have, what kind of hobbies they should develop. Because as we know, human beings are social, and therefore we spend a lot of time with other people, and sometimes we don't spend enough time with ourselves. So learning how to be in good company just by ourselves is very important. And I think reading has been one of the things that I picked up again during COVID, because as I said, when you're locked down for quite a long time, you find things to keep yourself preoccupied.
That's true. Yeah, people find things to occupy themselves while they are being locked down at home. Okay, so we have been talking about you and your families and friends. So because we are more focused now, right now, talking about Cambodia. So you yourself as a Cambodian right now, because you are staying there, you will see the situation more clearer than any one of us here.
Yes.
So I would like to ask that how is Cambodia reacting and the development direction in Cambodia right now? As you are staying there, what do you see? How's the Cambodia government or even the people are reacting to this current situation?
So I think that there is, might I say, there is a silver lining from COVID. I believe that a lot of the people in Cambodia have become more conscious about like social distancing and hygiene and certain things that comes with combating COVID, right? I see that people are becoming more aware of the duties that they have, like for the community. So in fact, of like wearing a mask to keep others safe and certain things like that has become a common practice. Another thing that I see that is interesting in Cambodia is also interesting in the West, for instance, is that like although when the market becomes volatile due to COVID, a lot of people are looking for safe investments such as real estate, for instance. And so even though COVID has been, I would say, ravaging other industries, the real estate industry is still managing to keep itself afloat. And the government of Cambodia also had an issue at hand with the everything but arms agreement. So with the European Union that was being pulled away from Cambodia. But recently they signed a free trade deal with China that should help offset the removal of the EBA.
Yeah. So talking about real estate, right? So Edmund, I know that you are representing MSQM, the developer of real estate company.
Yes.
So prior to this kind of situation, what is the direction of development that as a real estate developer is looking at, or maybe MSQM or your company is looking at?
Okay. So for us, we understand that COVID is, I think, a temporary situation. It will go away one day. Yeah, so now is how to say, we're actually doing the preparation for the reopening of the economy. Especially now we can see that vaccines are coming up. So most of the countries are having their citizens being vaccinated as well. Yeah, so I think Cambodia has done pretty well. From news report, I can see that Phnom Penh has vaccinated 50% of their citizens in Phnom Penh. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, and even Singapore, we actually vaccinated about close to 60%. Yeah, so from the days onwards, I think we will be reopening soon. And then in terms of project-wise, we are actually looking in the line of integration, because we can see that because of COVID, everyone is staying from home, working from home. So these effects actually, how to say, created more demand in where they stay. Yeah, okay, and they need a lifestyle to them as well, because they came to realize that health is important, life is important. So other than working, having a good lifestyle, this balancing between work and living is important. Yeah, so that's why we actually designed the integrated project in Phnom Penh as well, which is in one of the most, how to say, local sought after area, which is Sang Sok. Yeah, so maybe later I can share more about the project.
Yeah, that will be great. I believe that as what Chester also shared a bit that Cambodians are also, especially the government also very tied up with the and not just the education, but on the healthcare. They really look into much of the healthcare for the citizens, for the Cambodian, right? That's why maybe that's why Edmund side was saying that the developer also looking into the life balance, work-life balance that the Cambodians are looking into. So that's why you all are coming out with the integrated projects that will suit all the upcoming trend of the Cambodians. Am I right to say that?
Yes, it is.
So Chester, let me ask you. So currently, as you are seeing it in Cambodia, which industry are severely hit, and do you think will they stand to survive at this time?
Well, well, there is one industry that I can say has been severely hit, and it's what I've mentioned, I think, a bit earlier or alluded to, was the hospitality industry. I really see it. Whereas restaurants that used to be filled now only take orders away, but even that, I don't think can keep most of it afloat. But the other thing that I've been observing is that a lot of hotels have been closing, and especially in tourist destination cities like Siem Reap, for instance. Phnom Penh, a lot of the hotels are still open, but that's because we have people who are coming into Cambodia to do business. Phnom Penh is a more business orientated city, whereas Siem Reap is, I would believe, 95% of it is for tourism. So that city itself, um, it's going to take a long time, even when COVID leaves, for the city to recover to its previous strength. Um, in terms of real estate, in terms of every other industry, I can see that all the other industries in Cambodia can keep themselves afloat, even if COVID was to go for a longer duration than people are willing to anticipate it for.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So, Edmund, for the developer side, are y'all very hit on during this period of time of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, definitely during this period of time, as developers, we are affected in terms of the sales, but we are actually well prepared, because construction is still going on. So we know all these things, and we always plan for them, like in terms of rainy days. So especially in this COVID, we also come up with how to say, COVID packages. So during this COVID, it's actually quite how to say, good buy that's available in the market. Yeah. So likewise, we have actually a phase of our development which we actually provided GRR, that means guaranteed rental returns, because the developer is confident on the growth, and they confident that maybe about in a 1 or 2 year time, when the COVID is over, okay, the economy will go back on track, and then it will be how to say, a revenge kind of economic growth, whereby it'll be booming very fast. Yeah, so that's why the developer, how to say, is giving this guaranteed return, as well as they are so confident that the prices will increase steadily. So they also provide like a buyback option. So because we know that during this COVID, I mean, a lot of buyers, they would like to see what they are buying, you see. So, but then they can't fly at this current moment. So, in order to make them secure, okay, we actually gave them a buyback option. So, in the worst case scenario, the developer actually promised that the price will definitely be above of what they purchased. Yeah, otherwise they buy back at the original price. Yeah, so this is something that's very attractive.
Yeah, it does sound attractive. Chester, have you bought any unit in Cambodia so far? Invested in any real estate?
Currently 1 unit in the Leedon site.
You bought which part? The phase 1 or the phase 2?
The phase 1.
phase one.
Tower 3, I believe.
Tower 3, nice. How big a unit do you got?
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom, nice.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Thank you.
so are there any new opportunities during this COVID period of time? Chester, what do you think? So there are always up and down, different industry, right? So what do you think for this period of time?
I think, if anything, I believe that COVID is an opportunity for the people who are bold, right? Because right now, the general market is that a lot of people are very cautious. So, but when they're very cautious, they miss out a lot of opportunities that are there. And one of the things that I would like to mention is that before COVID, a lot of people were dealing with cash in Cambodia, right? Cash was king, indisputably. You want to do something, you always need to have cash on hand. But because of COVID, a lot of Cambodians have gotten used to paying through apps and paying through credit and debit cards, which is a good change because it allows, for example, if someone was to develop an e-commerce app or certain things like that in Cambodia, it allows the people to transition easier for those services.
So it sounds pretty much very close to Singapore, where people are being forced to scan and pay, cashless because of e-commerce and the online marketing, all the online shops.
I think it's not done forcefully where people can still choose the option to pay by cash, right? The app will always ask you whether you want to pay by your account, your app, or your cash. But I just think that people are now educated to the point that they know that by receiving and giving cash, you can transmit the virus. So they'll rather just do cashless now.
I believe that this is the upcoming trend for most of the country. But of course, we are more curious about the Cambodians. How are their lifestyle like comparing people looking at Singapore, comparison? Because people try to understand how's the Cambodians like, in the market. Because we are still we can't travel.
Another thing that I can say is that because I mentioned that COVID has emphasized people's how do you say, their regards toward health. So having facilities like gyms and certain things like that, where the Leedon Heights provide, right? It's very important because people are now paying attention to it more so than ever.
So I would say that just now as you mentioned healthcare. So healthcare is adequate in this view of COVID and for the future actions, I would say that, right? Chester, as you were sharing. So maybe Edmund,
Yes.
you were sharing that your project integrated with some healthcare. So maybe you can give us some more highlights about the projects, how it actually integrated healthcare and enhancing the lifestyle living and meeting the medical needs of the people in Cambodia.
Okay, sure. This is actually really a sneak preview because we're actually waiting for a good time for us to do the official announcement, okay? But in the view of it, because this project is actually a joint venture between the Singapore developer and our Cambodia partners. So we actually want to bring across the Singapore lifestyle over. So not just lifestyle, we also bring across the standards, that means the Singapore standards over as well. So we have actually a section which is the condominiums, which just now as what Chester mentioned, having gyms, having swimming pool, we allocated 50% of the site for actually facilities, you see, as well as our car park is in the basement. So this is actually to better protect the families kids like to play around in the playground and stuff like that. So having cars around them can be dangerous at times. So basement car park is very ideal. So these are the things that we do. It may be small, it may be common in Singapore, but then to Cambodia, this is something that they actually want. You see, as well as to add on to the integration of the lifestyle, we also have a retail mall beside us and a medical hub. So I believe maybe Chester, you can share that in the past, I think Cambodians usually travel to their neighboring countries, maybe say Thailand or even Singapore for treatment or maybe for annual checkups. But now we are trying to bring across, doctors over to Cambodia. So from there, you can get quality, lifestyle, quality medical services as well. Yeah, so this is something that we're actually looking to achieve, to contribute to the society of Cambodia. Do you agree?
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, Chester was talking about the healthcare. I would like to know more about like Cambodians, especially people from different background. So where do they go for their healthcare treatment? In terms like this.
So usually it breaks into several brackets, right? In terms of like wealth bracket, because not everyone is able to do this, right? Or medical checkup are usually in the lower income bracket. But if we're speaking about middle class, usually the middle class families in Cambodia would go to Thailand. And then the upper middle class or the affluent people would usually go to Singapore, Korea, or perhaps even Europe, depending on what they're needed for.
But right now they couldn't travel also, right?
Yes, so they're stuck here, unfortunately.
Yeah, they are stuck here. So our developer here, Mr. Edmund here, their project integrated the medical suite here. So I would say that maybe in the future they do not have to really travel even the COVID has released, is over. I guess they have an option to stay on in Cambodia for a cheaper option, for more also a quality option in local rather than flying off out to somewhere like Singapore or even Europe for their treatment. Am I right to say that? So the project actually will give a very good option for the locals people to look into for the medical healthcare.
Yes, definitely. Because
Yes.
I mean, the idea started off when the management ventured into Cambodia since 2014. So they actually sees a lot of opportunities in Cambodia, as well as a lot of gaps that require fulfillment. So one of the gap that my management actually felt is in the healthcare part. Okay, and the management is in particular into gynecology. That means into birth. As we know, like in our life, I mean, birth is actually one of the most important periods of our life. You see, so it's the start. So the medical hub is going to be focused in these areas as well. Yeah, and not just that, general healthcare, general medical, dentals, and stuff like that will be also included. So we just regretted that we weren't able to start this project earlier. Otherwise, it would have been beneficial to Cambodia during this COVID period. Yeah, but nevertheless, it's still in progress. So hopefully we'll get this all done up, and then after that by 2025, okay, you'll be ready. Yeah, then we can actually see a whole brand new. And as well as that time, I think Cambodia is having its SEA Games, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think they will be attracting a lot of international travelers. So it's time for Cambodia to show the world. I mean, it's like a oyster in the sea. It's time to shine, kind of. Yeah, and just now
oyster.
Chester actually mentioned about fintech. Actually, previously I actually did a session on fintech as well. Yeah, and fintech is definitely growing in Cambodia because we actually have another project called the Global Tech Park. Okay, that one is actually more focused in the fintech area. Yeah, I mean financial side lah. And then as well as fintech, I think is very crucial to the country because it actually helps to alleviate poverty. You see, to us we may seems that our cashless payment is very simple, or it's just like transferring through mobile phone. But this is actually a technology advancement. You see, if let's say we backtrack maybe say 5 years ago, will you think that there's such app? Will you think that of doing such action? You see, so this actually is a lot of people without accounts to have access to these financial services, as well as it gives foreign investors more understanding, as well as data collected can give them accreditation in terms of investment. So this opened another world of opportunities to help people who are in need of the funds. So this actually will be, improving Cambodia in a very much bigger way, I think.
Yeah, I believe that, okay, after today's session, right, following session, will invite Chester back again with us. Then Chester will share with us about young Cambodians. What are they looking for and what are they striving for in Cambodia itself? So from there, maybe you can share with us next week, okay, share with us about young Cambodians' dreams and what are they looking for and striving ahead with the Cambodia. And up again with Mr. Edmund Cole also to share with us about the fintech for the young Cambodians also, right?
Sure.
All right. So thank you for both of you for the sharing section. We'll look for you for the next session again, and we'll talk about more about the young Cambodians and more about Cambodia itself also. Thank you very much. And maybe Emma, later you share with us more about your projects, more of the like Leedon Heights about the integrated medical suite with us.
Sure. Okay, because we are actually located in near Somerset MRT in Centrepoint. Okay, so we actually have our showroom here. So together we actually created an area called Little Cambodia.
Yes.
So actually we'd like to invite the attendees to come over to Jasco. Okay, but you need to call us for an appointment. Okay, so later we'll flash out our contact details. Okay, or otherwise you can just drop us a message in the Facebook or even in the Zoom live. Okay, then we will actually attend to you as well. Yeah, and before we end, I think I will share a video, okay, of my project, so you have a comprehensive understanding, overview of the project itself.
Hey everyone, my name is Panya and this is Saka. And guess where we are now?
你知道吗？现在我们正在哪里？
We are in Phnom Penh City, Cambodia, and now we are in Centrepoint area.
我们是在柬埔寨的首都近边，现在我们就是正在圣树区旁边的。
Specifically, we are standing at Leedon Heights project, one of the biggest, one of the hottest projects in town. And today we're going to show you why this location, this area is special.
现在呢，我们正在站在丽人海公益项目的前面，你知道吗？为什么在这里最特别的那个地区呢？
We start off with that side of the area. So there are 6 shopping malls in total. We have Aeon Mall, the Japanese Mall, and then Macro Supermarket. We have Design Village, the upcoming one. We have Chitmong Mall. We have Global House where you can buy furniture. And the last one is the Green Community Malls where you can buy lots of food.
因为呢，在圣树区旁边呢，周围我们有6个大购物中心，生活便利，还有无限发展潜能。
So at this time, there are a lot of shopping malls already. We can see that it's going to be very convenient to live. And just behind us here is the international school, and that's Australian International School of Phnom Penh.
在我们的背后旁边呢，我们也有很大个国际学校，叫澳大利亚学校。
So not only that, in total surrounding this area, there are 8 international schools.
还有在这里周围的那个地区呢，我们也有另外一个8个大国际学校。
Behind us is the new road called Ongkok Avenue, connecting the city center to the outskirts of the city. And in the morning, it's very busy. People going to school, going to work, and in the evening, it's very popular among bike riders. So they like to cycle from there to there. You know what's special there? There's a new garden, like in front of the new Ministry of Land Management and Urban Planning. So it's a very popular spot there among the bike riders in the evening.
我们后面也有一街新的街道呢，在这街道上面呢，上午呢有很多人在这里开车去上班，还有下午也有很多人骑自行车到那一边的那个最大的土地库散步或者去玩。
So we can see that currently the location is very convenient to live already, but we can expect more developments to come. So we can expect more shopping malls, more international schools, and also housing development businesses.
在这里的地区呢，我们希望呢未来就能会允许到那个最大的项目来这里发展的。
And right here we have the biggest project, the condominium project, Leedon Heights. And today we're going to show you why it's special.
所以呢，现在我们就是在Leedon Heights公益项目旁边，就是在这里最大的项目。那现在呢，我们就会给大家介绍一下为什么我们的项目在这里最特别的。
We're starting off with the condo project, and then the lifestyle mall over here, and the medical hub over there.
在我们的公益项目里面呢，除了公益之外，我们也还有超市和医院。
Leedon Integrated Lifestyle Hub, the next generation landmark of Phnom Penh. Here you will find high-end residences, retail establishments, modern sporting facilities and advanced medical services, all housed within an integrated world-class environment. Located 5 kilometres northwest of Phnom Penh city centre and 10 kilometres from the international airport, Leedon Integrated Lifestyle Hub is conveniently served by an array of existing transportation networks. Nearby is a collection of established amenities such as Aeon Mall, the Premier Centre, Australian International School, Grand Phnom Penh Golf Club and its water theme park. Within the development is Leedon Heights Condominium, Leedon Service Suites, Leedon Lifestyle Hub and Leedon Medical Hub, all nestled within a lush and well-appointed landscape. Let us now begin our journey, starting with Leedon Heights Condominium. Fronting the main street are daycare and child enrichment services that will cater to young families. In the heart of the development lies a 50 metres lap pool, a large children's playground and many lifestyle-centric landscape facilities that will keep residents fully occupied. The Leedon Service Suites sits at a serene and exclusive corner of the development. Here you will be greeted at the drop-off by the concierge that will assist your every need. At the top of the podium is a 25-metre swimming pool that is reserved exclusively for the serviced apartments. Together with a spacious gym, a business centre and a multi-purpose function room, guests will be well served during their time here. Located at the other half of the development is the Leedon Lifestyle Hub, where multi-level sports and lifestyle facilities await inside a cavernous podium. Rising above this podium is the Leedon Medical Hub. It houses Grade A office units, specialist clinics and medical suites, providing total wellness consultancy to both residents and visitors. The design of the development and its shopping aisle is meticulously crafted to be grand, wide and welcoming that leads to an internal atrium. At the centre of the podium is a voluminous glass-covered atrium lined with exciting retail and dining establishments that overlook into an event-filled amphitheatre. The podium houses a large multi-purpose arena that can be configured for different sporting and e-sporting events, concerts, seminars and sporting facilities, completing the overall vibrancy of the development. The Medical Hub, with its Grade A specification, is positioned and designed to exude a high level of professionalism. The medical facilities and clinics are built around the needs of the visitors, providing specialist services combined with the most advanced medical technology. Leedon Medical Hub will be the flagship of healthcare services in Phnom Penh. Integrated, well-connected and vibrant, Leedon Integrated Lifestyle Hub is poised to be the next landmark of Phnom Penh and will enrich you and your lifestyle way into the future.
Before the end of all this session, I will flash again the slides, our location and where are the developer sales gallery is. So thank you, Edmund, and thank you, Chester, again. Once again, thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Chester.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.